As expected, worldwide and a lot of American reaction today to the death of Yaron Lashinsky, Sarah Milgram, and information, more of information available about the man now charged with their murder, Elias Rodriguez. Just tell you a little bit about what happened. Number one, please. Again, the suspect charged now by the federal government with murder. There's a picture of the couple. Every picture I see of them, I look away because I'll cry if I look at it for too long. But the more I've read about them today, every death, of course, a tragedy, but these were two lovely people, just truly lovely people. So here is the woman President Trump picked to be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Jeanine Pirro, at a press conference today announcing the charges against the suspect. Number two, please.
As I speak right now, there is an individual who is being presented in court and charged with various crimes. 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago, Illinois, is now charged by complaint after his initial appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge Matthew Sharbaugh with the following: murder in the first degree for the murder of 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky, a foreign official and official guest of the United States. Mr. Lashinsky was here on official business for the State of Israel. The defendant Rodriguez is also charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree for both Yaron Lashinsky along with 26-year-old Sarah Lynn Milgram of Kansas. In addition, there are several felony firearms charges for discharging a firearm in the middle of a violent crime and for causing the death of an individual through the use of that firearm. Now, this investigation is continuing, and as you can see, we have most of the stakeholders here today who will be given an opportunity to speak with you. But what I want to be clear about today, since this is the first time you're hearing from me, is that this is a horrific crime, and these crimes are not going to be tolerated by me and by this office. A young couple at the beginning of their life's journey, about to be engaged in another country, had their bodies removed in the cold of the night in a foreign city in a body bag. We are not going to tolerate that anymore.
So, as I said, lots of reaction. We could look at Caroline Levitt speaking, a great statement from the Manhattan Institute. Most people putting this in the larger context of the epidemic of anti-Semitism and the questions about how to combat this and keep it from happening. I won't share more. Let's bring you all in. Batya, take this wherever you want in terms of obviously we all grieve for these two young people, but what do you see as the larger meaning here and as whatever call to action you think this requires?
So I think what I and probably a lot of Jewish people were struck by was as he was being apprehended, the alleged murderer, who I believe meets the definition of terrorist, said "Free Palestine," but he said it in the exact cadence that they chant it on college campuses. It was the free Palestine, which is something that anyone who's been on a college campus in the last year or two has heard. And so I guess I would have 2 thoughts on that. The first is, obviously people on college campuses have free speech rights. We have a First Amendment. The question I would pose to my fellow Americans is, do you believe that Jewish students should have to regularly attend classes on college campuses and listen to the same chanting that followed a terrorist attack on 2 people, one of whom was because she was Jewish and the other because he stood with the Jewish people? I believe that he's a Christian. Yaron Lashinsky is a devout Christian. And the second point I would make is, I think that probably most of the people, I'm going to be very generous and say most of the people in the Free Palestine movement, certainly all of the people I know who are in that movement, were horrified by what happened today and would not have wanted to see that happen. But what has to happen is not just a tweet. there has to be a fulsome rejection of this act in a way that impacts the culture, such that this young man, as he goes through the process of being prosecuted and, hopefully to the fullest extent of the law, realizes that he failed because he did this believing he would get the approbation of his peers. He did this believing that when everybody was chanting globalize the Intifada, everybody he admires, that they would, oh, look, he finally did. He heeded the call. And it is very important. I can't be the one to convince him and other copycats that what he did was heinous. It has to be people in that movement who do more than just say, a throwaway tweet, but actually make it clear that within the Free Palestine movement, the people who seek dignity and life and peace for the Palestinian people do so in a way that fulsomely rejects acts like this and pursues actual peace and actual dignity for all of the stakeholders. So that's kind of where I'm at right now on this very difficult day.
Mm. Well,
Can I jump? Oh, sorry, Robbie. I don't mean to.
I would say I agree with a lot of your sentiments there, Batya. What gives me pause, well, no, certainly no pause in condemning this horrific attack, and also condemning anyone on any side of this issue, including this issue, who celebrates violence against Jewish students or Jewish people, as have some of the pro-Palestinian students. I fully agree with that. I have read their manifestos of one of the largest student organizing groups on this issue and condemned what seemed to me to be a clear, implicit, or even explicit embrace of what happened on October 7th. All of that said, I am always reminded to come back to words in general do not cause violence. People say awful, incendiary things all the time, and there is blessedly very little political violence in this country. There's violence. It's usually not motivated by politics. This case, from what we know, seems pretty clearly motivated by a political desire or a animus toward Jewish people. I concede that in this case, but I do always want to go back to the principle that if you do something horrifically wrong, you do violence, the person who's responsible is not a movement, not other people's words or speech. The person who's responsible is you, and you should suffer the full legal consequence of that. Because we can always get into, and this happens, all political tribes do this, when someone of their side is targeted in this way, that, well, it's because of this rhetoric and that rhetoric. That's certainly a game that Republicans and Democrats play, and I like to try to get away from it. But I do not deny at all that in this case, it seems clearly motivated by politics, by a terrorist rationale.
Okay, yeah, it's one sicko. I'm sorry, I am chomping at the bit. Let's go. I know that we've had this conversation as a gang before, and unfortunately, we're having it again because two people just got murdered for working for Israel. And I'm sorry, listen, yes, this is one sicko. However, this is a sicko who is espousing a murderous, genocidal left-wing ideology that is inculcated on college campuses, which again, we have freedom of speech. I would say globalize the Intifada is probably somewhere closer to incitement than freedom of speech, but it doesn't matter because this didn't happen because he heard globalize the Intifada on college campuses. This happened because we are paying billions of dollars to create an incubator for an ideology that I don't even want to say, God, how many examples do we need of radical leftism becoming genocidal? Hamas is one instance of it. This is one iteration of it. I don't even necessarily restrict this to anti-Semitism because today we're talking about Israel, we're talking about Jews, but this isn't anti-Semitism per se. This is an iteration about Jews, but that often is about other groups. It's about a identity politics hierarchy where you have oppressors and oppressed, and the oppressors need to be smothered, done away with, attacked. And honestly, in its implementation, murder, yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry, yes, you can talk about whatever you want. It's America. You can talk about whatever you want. I don't necessarily believe, I definitely don't believe in not allowing people to say stuff. However, I am not comfortable with the amount that we pay universities to radicalize students, and they are doing that. And debating about whether it's a once. Oh, come on. This is
I don't.
20, 25 years on these university campuses. Please. We all
Well,
know.
look, I do not think that the campuses are radicalizing everybody, broadly speaking, right? I mean, I
The
think
humanities and social sciences, Dan, please. Have you sat into a humanities and social science class on pick any university in North America?
Emma, there has not been a murder of students by college, Ivy League college
I'm
kids.
not
Because,
saying that
well,
college
hold
kids
on,
are going around murdering people. I'm saying that the ideology that is being incubated in these schools on a systemic level is.
Well, look, there's a lot of ideology in this country that's produced violence recently, right? It has. Now, people were murdered today. People have been murdered in other instances recently. Look, I think it is being condemned by most people.
That was a delicious video experience. I think you'll agree. Now, what you need to do in return for getting to enjoy that is hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a thing.